introduction. Okay, yes, thank you, David, and thank you everyone for attending. So I'm going to start the presentation. So my name is Elizabeth Press, as all of you know, and I'm head of business intelligence at Lingoda. I will not spend a lot of time on this slide, but this is a bit about my background and companies I've worked with, and also I have been previously to joining Lingoda, an entrepreneur myself. I have also had the pleasure of managing this wonderful team. I have not done this attribution modeling alone. This has been a huge project, and these 6 individuals have been doing a lot of the work, if not all of the work. It's been a huge undertaking for Lingoda. So we've had the data engineers. Laszlo, who's on this call, is the data engineering lead, as well as the data scientists and data analysts. And you see the 2 that have been the main ones working on this model. There are other people in my team. I have a large organization, but these are the members of my team who have been working on this major project. Who is Lingoda? Lingoda is an online language school. We teach English, German, French, and Spanish online. And the business intelligence team. What is the business intelligence team? The business intelligence team's mission is to enable data-driven decision-making throughout the company. Now, that is a really sort of general thing to say, right? So what do we actually do? Within my team, there are 3 different sub-teams, and 3 different pillars. There's data engineering, data science, and data analysis. And our main activities are centralized reporting, strategic insights. We have a centralized taxonomy, and just curating that central truth that the company uses to look at its business, and also the KPI definitions, the provision of predictive analytics and data science, and also the building out and maintenance of the data infrastructure, which is really the enabler of everything that we do. So the use case. So how does attribution modeling enable growth? I will say that when I started with Lingoda almost 2 years ago, it was a mature startup. And one of the major undertakings that my team did was to work on the Series B financing round. So we did get a major Series B financing from Summit Partners. And you guys could look online about how big that was and whatnot. But basically, once we got this financing, and also before, we had to really make sure that we're growing so that our investors get their ROI, and that we're also, as a company, achieving our mission. So in any online business, and also many other businesses, a major enabler of success is marketing ROI. So that is the money that you get back from your marketing spend. In this project that we did with attribution modeling, our major stakeholder was the Chief Growth Officer. So we used a user story to understand what the business objectives were. So this is the Chief Growth Officer, and she wanted to keep a close eye on the daily marketing spend according to the dimensions that we had in our taxonomy, and specifically geography, channel, and campaigns. And to look at the performance, there was the strategic and the tactical level. So the strategic level, we had a KPI, and this major KPI, a key performance indicator, was customer lifetime value to customer acquisition cost. And this is a major industry KPI that many of you know from your own companies. So it's the value of a customer over their lifetime and the cost of actually acquiring that customer, as well as on the tactical level to spot underperforming campaigns and overperforming campaigns on a more regular basis so that she could spend more time on the overperforming campaigns and stop the underperforming campaigns. So we also worked with Asana, and what's very important as well is how we actually created this project and how we actually implemented it. So it was an initiative in Asana, and we had different, so let me just go, I'm sorry, let me go up, I skipped it. So we had two different sides of the equation. So there's the revenue side and the cost side. So the revenue side is the CLV side, and the revenue attribution is the cash inflow into the business. And this is what the data scientists did. And the way they accounted for this cash inflow was looking at the different touch points and figuring out which touch points are the most important ones. And then the cost attribution, which is the bottom of the ratio, is looking at how we actually spend our marketing budget according to different dimensions in our taxonomy. And this is something that the data engineering team did. We implemented this in Asana, and we had an initiative, and the different epics or sub-projects were the revenue attribution and cost attribution. And we had two different workflows that we officiated over the course of a year. And we used weekly sprints, and we used this project structure in Asana to curate the backlog. What are the results? The results were the reporting and KPIs. So we had really good reporting and KPIs after that. So on a granular level, on a geographical level, and on a channel level, we had a taxonomy that had 3 to 4 different levels, and we were able to really get the reporting on the level that was extremely actionable to the marketing department, and also very insightful to other parts of the business as well as our investors. We were able to have a multi-stage sales and marketing funnel. So we were originally a very performance marketing oriented company where we saw just the decision to buy, but now we had a more comprehensive overview of the customer journey, and we were able to architect the customer experience and also focus on the awareness phase and branding and those aspects to the decision to purchase, and also driving customer centricity and retention as well. The insights, as I mentioned, as well as upgrading our infrastructure and processes, because this was a major undertaking. The secrets to our success. We started with the decision and we planned the delivery. So that means that, as I showed the user story, we focused on what will help marketing, what will make them successful, because when marketing is successful, we're successful and our investors are successful. We defined the KPIs, the key performance indicators. We created a taxonomy so that the entire company is speaking the same language. And then we hard-coded that in queries and other assets along the data pipeline. We chose one attribution model to be used in reporting. Actually, we have 7 different types of attribution models, but we chose just one to be used in the reporting. And then we created a multi-stage marketing and sales funnel so that marketing and sales could be very targeted in how they action insights and improve. But we had to make important infrastructural changes to really support our ambitious goals. And I will go to the next slide, because this is the slide that everyone wants to see in a tech talk, right? So what we did was we created an end-to-end environment where we connected with traffic and transactional data, and we actually ran the attribution models on EMR clusters through Spark jobs. So the clusters were actually coded, sorry, the attribution model is actually coded in PySpark, and it outputs into our data warehouse, and the 7 different attribution models and the associated measures are actually filterable in our data warehouse by attribution type. And that means that the data analysts could query based on first click, last click, uniform, or whatever they want, and visualize that quite, I don't want to say easily, but quite flexibly in Tableau. We also have automated we've automated the attribution models through using Airflow. We have been running them monthly, and now we're able to run them weekly. And because this is a very important part of our reporting and very key to our business, quality is close to our heart, we have also made a data quality monitoring system. We've put this in Grafana, and we monitor Airflow, and we've created some KPIs to monitor both the quality of the data as well as the stability of the model, and the output of that is delivered through Slack. So when there's a problem, so to speak, we get a Slack message, and we could proactively deal with issues rather than wait for a stakeholder to see some anomaly in the data. So this is, I will say what I said before was the revenue side. This is the cost side. The cost side is what the data engineers did. And this is basically where.
Okay, Danya is back again, and so the recording is continuing. In the middle of the questions. Any more questions from the audience? No? Then I would have a question about the architecture, because you said you hard-coded the queries for KPIs. How flexible do you think your architecture is? Have you had to update it at all to take account of any changes in the business or what you want to record? And what sort of KPIs were you recording apart from the 2 that you mentioned?
Okay, so I'll take the flexibility. What I mean by, we hard-coded the taxonomies, I think what I said is that we put the taxonomy at first into a Google Sheet when we were getting alignment with all of the stakeholders. And then based on that taxonomy, we implemented that, not like hard coding in the way that was in something that was inflexible. It was still, we coded that in SQL in our data warehouse environment, like in queries and views and these sorts of assets. So that's what I meant by that. But how flexible the KPIs are, I think they're very flexible, because it's a matter of changing an SQL query. And as we move forward and we discover more attributes and more behaviors that are inherent in our customer base and the different customer segments, we could actually use the 7 different attribution models as we see fit. And it's a matter of changing the query. So some of the KPIs we have now 3 different parts of our multi-stage customer journey. So there's awareness, consideration, and the decision. So the awareness, for example, we have different traffic KPIs and also ROI on traffic, on the definitions of valuable traffic that we have to show the awareness, and then in terms of the the decision that remains the same. It's conversion rate, and then in terms of other KPIs, ROAS, return on advertising spend, to see really when we pay for advertising, what's the actual ROI on the spend that we have for advertising. So those are some of the KPIs we use.
Thank you. So again, anybody from the audience? Ivy or Amber, Colada? If I'm pronouncing your names wrongly, please let me know.
So those are members of my team.
Oh, okay.
Maybe,
So
maybe
I managed to pick just by chance your team members.
yeah, so maybe some of them could field some of your questions. I think Ivy, maybe you could field some of the questions for example, why we chose the uniform attribution model, because you were really the thought leader in terms of hosting some of those sessions with our stakeholders.
Yeah, I think I remember one of the points, it's a uniform model and has less bias in the user journey. So we don't make assumption like which part of the journey is more important. That's why this KPIs, this uniform model is used for really high level KPIs, for example, CLV to CAC. But when we look at conversion rate, we're looking at only the decision phase. So we want to know like in the decision phase, which channel converts the most. This way, it's actually the end of the funnel. That's why we pick last click in reporting conversion rates. So this is some of the use cases to show like actually it's very flexible in the design of the infrastructure, that we can actually change the model to cater for different kinds of KPIs.
Is there anything you would like to change about the current setup?
I think that there's still a lot of improvement in the model itself. Just one example, like because we are only looking at visit in this model and impression is not in this model. So this is, I think it's the future way to improve like how we count, like consider impression in the model itself as well. Because impression is also one touch point that it's hard to track actually.
Mm-hmm. What do you count as an impression in your business?
Yeah, we're
Is it
thinking
a booking or a
yeah, this is also something that we have to decide in moving forward. We're thinking maybe some survey or questionnaire to the students to know like where they actually know about us in the very beginning.
Okay. Thank you. Any more contributions from the team?
Maybe Colada, I'm going to put some of them on the spot. So
do
I do it to give them also some of the stage, because they did a lot of, this has been a lot of work for all the people on my team. But Colada, you were the one who automated this in Airflow. Maybe you could give some insight into, you know, how flexible the scheduling is, and you know, why Airflow is a good tool for this.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Evan. In terms of like automation, so one of the first steps was one of the things that was happening is the model was being run manually and attributed in routes and so on. But Airflow makes it easy, quite easy for automation, because at that point, Airflow doesn't actually run the processing jobs by itself. So just leverages EMR by just automatically like launching the EMR cluster and shutting down the EMR cluster and running the Spark code themselves on these clusters. So in terms of like scheduling, we use the execution date, which is just like a line of code in Airflow which can be changed at any point in time.
Great. Maybe Calais, you maybe you could give us some overview of next steps and how this is actually paving the way for some really interesting machine learning cases.
There is a solid pipeline that was built to this version of the revenue and attribution model. And the next steps are basically iterate on several different ways and dimensions to its stage, and also to put some automate the decision with some higher level machine learning, because the first step is always to understand and create a soft layer of machine learning, not a black box. And the next stage, now that we completely understand how everything works, is create these hyper complex models.
May I ask what sort of models you're looking at?
On the future, we will test yet. Right now, we are not using we are just using the regular attribution models like uniform, last click, first click. But in the future, we can try anything, neural networks, LSTM, as is time correlated, other boost with time lagging. There are several possibilities that we could try.
Okay, if you're looking at processing sequence data, don't forget to look at transformer models as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think, Taha, if you could give us some insight into the connectors that you built. I know this was months of work for you, but if somebody would want to do the same work that you've done, because this is it's something that lots of startups look into, some tips that you would give somebody.
Sure. Luckily, so for these marketing connectors, if you want to get this information from the marketing places where you're spending money on your ad campaigns, be it Facebook or Google or AdRoll or Bing, or in our case, it was also all of these.
Scraping snow in the background. If you go mute, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so for all these different places where you spend your marketing spend, luckily all of them provide APIs. So for our team, what we did is we built connectors to all of these using Airflow ETLs. So we have ETLs that run daily, hourly, or weekly, depending on the different API connector. And we grab data for them, and it's like an automated process. So all of that was done before any of this stuff started, essentially, because once you have that information available, then you start working on the revenue attribution model and all that stuff. So yeah, start early. All the information is available on and all these APIs are available from these different places where you can connect to and grab the information and have it in your warehouse. That's basically what was my contribution.
And
All right, thanks. And then lastly,
Evan has a question. But
oh, somebody has a question. Okay,
yes.
cool, great.
Terribly sorry. I promise I'll make it quick. I'm really impressed by the sheer amount of work you've all done, and I'm wondering, how has it been received by other teams within the organization? Have they implemented it based on it? Has it led?
Evan, your audio is really bad. I don't know if you can get the mic close to.
But I think he asked how it's been received by other teams. So it's been received quite well. Because it started with basically the marketing department's requirements, and we fulfilled those. And it's currently being used in our reporting. It's the backbone of our reporting, both internally and to our investors.
And I think it's a very overlooked aspect of startups. Startups are always focused on the problem that they're trying to solve, and they often lose track of the metrics, the business metrics that they need to follow. Essentially, what you've built is an automated way of doing it. It's really, really a great idea. I'd love to see this as a product, actually.
Well, this is my team, so maybe you're starting a business idea. Just kidding, maybe. And Laszlo, I have a question for you, because you have been, my partner in crime in this, and the data engineering lead. What would you say to other data engineering leads who are also partnering with data science and data analytics to create such a platform, as a data engineer?
Thanks for the question. I think it's a really good question. I would suggest to synchronize, please synchronize with team members, try to gather first the specification and also synchronize frequently with data scientists, listen to the data scientists and try to find some common ground and build prototypes and just go for it. And I would say do incrementals or like some sort of iterative approach. So do the prototype, fail fast, do it again, and just keep on going. I would also suggest to try to be aware of future possible problems. Is that volumes of the data, try to think about it, how to handle if you would be like facing with larger data, like going forward, how to expand the model, the architecture. We've been using EMR. I can also suggest to use like similar services, like cloud services that would run like a flexible framework on top of it. For us, we chose to use Spark.
Okay, we have another question from Mohammed, and Mohammed would like to know what was the workflow like before you scaled your model to the upgraded data architecture?
Oh, this is a really dangerous question. We basically built the architecture with the model. So there was never a time where we ran this exact model on another architecture. If that answers your question.
If I understand him correctly, he would like to know, before you had your system in place, what were you doing? How did you get this information? Or
okay, before we had all of this, before we did this attribution model, we had a last click attribution model. So we looked at the last click, and we also looked at then coupon codes. We had some logic where we implemented for that. In terms of the architecture pre this model, maybe Laszlo, you could say some words. That was maybe a little bit before my time.
Maybe I can help with this because it's all run in query. So we just run in query to query the last click for each transaction, and then we put it in the DAG, just simple Airflow DAG to fill the table. And this is all like to capture the last click. And for the marketing call side, it's pretty manual, and we have different pipeline to actually get calls from the marketing manager. So the API is not so mature back then.
Without giving away any company secrets, did you see what sort of measures were most effective? Were coupons most effective, or advertising, or do you have any insights from the data that you've seen over the past years?
I think coupons have been, I don't know if it's like, Ivy, I'll let you also after I go, but I feel like coupons have been giving us some good insights because they are something that we use to track an exact marketing campaign. There might be other people who have, more extensive location-based mechanisms that we don't have yet, but I find coupons really helped us. Ivy?
Yes, I will also say the same. That depends on the channel itself. So different channel behaves a bit differently, and we saw a lot of people who see an influencer video, they tend to use coupon more. This is one of the insights.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're a young startup. I've worked at Dell, and I've worked for different foreign ministries and stuff there's a lot more resources and more technology already in place. So my team built a stack and built this infrastructure from something pretty basic.
Even more impressive then. Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, then thank you all very much. Thank you, Elizabeth, thank you to the team as well. Really a lot of information in the talk, not just the presentation itself, but your contributions afterwards. And I would say we'll close it up now, and thank you all for attending. And we'll be posting the recording of the presentation somewhere on YouTube. Okay, have a nice day.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, thanks.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
Elizabeth, good luck. Yeah.
Thanks.